Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to Refined You. Today, I am talking about the power of your tongue. How powerful your language, your words are as you utter them out of your mouth. It manifests in ways that you may not even imagine. And I know this is a repeat of what you already know. This is not new information. It's a reminder and an invitation to refine to the level of mastery when it comes to how you speak things into existence. Let's get into this topic. Welcome to the new ones that have joined our Refined You Camp. I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to the OGs, the day oneers. I love you. Thank you for always supporting and being here and really being in this wave of evolution with me. If you've noticed, my videos continue to evolve and just transform and shift. And it does shift the audience. It shifts the level of interest. It shifts how many people actually view it, because not everybody is on this journey with me as I evolve into this space where I really put God at the focal point of manifestation work. And I put God, and specifically Jesus, at the focal point of everything. And I've really been told to just keep doing it. It does not matter. This is not a popularity contest. Would I love videos to go viral? Obviously, of course, because I want this message to spread. And at the same time, I am in obedience to this assignment to continue to make videos and continue to spread the truth as I know it. So thank you for those of you who have stayed loyal to this journey and this process, because I know you are experiencing tremendous shifts as you follow me in my journey. And you really take in the insight and the education and the resources that I do have for you along my journey. Because I'm experiencing crazy shifts, I know you are too. If you are new here, and if my current videos or this video is just like, you're like, this is way too much for me, go back in the archives. I've saved the majority of my videos that I still feel are very relevant, and you can really binge watch and go from day one, and you will see the progress, and then you'll be able to meet these videos in the frequency that they are, because you have went through the process. I know you get it. So before I get into the topic today, I have a couple of announcements. The first is our Heaven on Earth VIP group. We're doing live coaching tonight, this evening. Join us. The link is below if you have not joined the membership yet. All you have to do is answer 3 preliminary questions, and then you have access to the group. It is a beautiful collective of people who are on this journey, who want to stay tapped in, who want to be motivated. And I give monthly free coaching. So if you want to come on video, if you want to come on just sound, if you just want to type your questions, I got you. I devote at least 2 hours every month for you if you have questions. It is live and it is in Facebook, so join us. Secondly, I wanted to update you on my Ana Luisa jewelry, because I don't know if you remember, and you can check out the video here. A few months ago, it was over 6 months ago, I was invited to collaborate with Ana Luisa. I got beautiful jewelry pieces, and I really wanted to update you all because I'm all about quality. I'm all about quality, y'all. And I know you are too, because you're like me. And sometimes we get something, and then after a while it tarnishes, and then it's no good, and then it's like, that was a waste of my money. Ana Luisa is not a waste of your money, okay? So just wanted to showcase some of the pieces that I have been wearing consistently, like a lot. I take them on trips. I take them in the water at the beach, in salt water. I take them in chlorine water. They will not tarnish. And this is like directly parallel to your spirit not tarnishing, right? Your spirit not tarnishing with all the 3D circumstances that want to be thrown at you. No, we don't tarnish, boo. No, we do not. So Ana Luisa, I love you. So this is a bracelet that I love. I love to pair this with my watch. This is another one of the bracelets that I absolutely, it's so dainty and it's so feminine. Do you see that? Okay. I wear these, especially this one, almost daily. You see, the quality is still there, y'all. Come on now. These are my favorite earrings from Ana Luisa. No, these aren't actually my favorite. I have a couple more favorite. I'm wearing these, but my heart bamboo earrings are my favorite. And I've given a few away for gifts. How cute! Is the camera catching it? How adorable are these? So they're like kind of, you know, mini bamboos. And then 2 other favorite pair of hoops that I have. Again, these are all very like dainty and simple and feminine, you see? They go with everything. Like these are everyday And these are also my favorite. These like geometrical shaped ones. These are more of my artistic ones, but again, they're still very dainty, still very simple, very good quality. And I just had to give you all an update because I love them and I appreciate this brand sponsorship. I appreciate this collaboration, and I always want to make sure that I acknowledge those who are really putting in that work, creating quality products, because there's a lot of products out here and not all are quality, and we know this, okay? So if you want to catch them, they actually have a 20% off discount going on right now. Just use the promo code WELCOME20 and you get 20% off of your first purchase. The link is below. If you have any questions about their products, pop it in the comments section. I got you. And Ana Luisa's whole motto is creating conscious jewelry, but luxuriously conscious jewelry that at affordable prices. I'm telling you, like, this is the vibe now. There's no tarnishing, there's no tainting of anything. None of that, all right? We are in the realm of luxury, and we are in the realm of longevity, and we are in the realm of just shining bright like gold, diamonds, platinum all the time. We don't tarnish. Yes, okay. So getting into this content, today I really want to talk about the refinement of your words and how the refinement of our words equates to the refinement in our high-level manifestations. Like when we refine and master the way that we speak to people, speak to ourselves, then it's like we're mastering the universe, and the universe is responding, because now not only are you affirming and saying it, you are now in the embodiment of these high-level affirmations that you have been trying to force in. Because there's a time in a journey where we have to force in the affirmations, because we may be thinking in such a negative, dark way. We may be in such a cycle of negative thought patterning and these intrusive thoughts, and not being able to have control over the intrusive thoughts and the anxiety that comes from it, right? And just like this tornado of negative thinking. So affirmations are helpful in that state, because when you're forcing in the affirmation, you're also forcing in a new habit of thinking. And it really is combating those negative thoughts. But if you're at this point in my journey and this video is resonating with you, you're not in that state. And if you are, again, go back to my first video and watch all the way through, and I promise you will snap out of that state. And it won't take a year and a half, almost 2 years, right? It will take you a couple weeks to binge all the videos and you'll be good. So, or a couple months, whatever, but it'll shorten your process. And that's why I keep them archived here, so that you can have a shortened experience and your transformation can be rapid, because it's so possible. But if you're in the realm where you have been able to create new habits of positive thinking, you don't necessarily have to force affirmations every day because you're waking up miserable and you just can't control your thoughts. You are in the space now of refinement, right? So that part of the journey, which is a necessary part of the journey, we all have to go through it. But that part of the journey is really just creating new biological habits, creating stabilization in your body, in your mind, to actually feel halfway safe in your universe, to feel halfway content, halfway peaceful and happy. But once you've gotten over that hump, which is not an easy hump to get over, but you can, and you will, and you have, maybe. Once you're there, now we're in refinement and mastery. We're in that stage of this journey. And this is the stage I'm speaking to today. I want to start off with a word from the Bible, because I always feel like that sets a great precedence for truth, divine truth. And it's not Alicia that is telling you these things. Like, yes, obviously I'm using my knowledge, I'm using my experience, I'm using my mind, but it all roots back to God's truth. And what's in the Bible, in my opinion, is a reflection of the divine truth that God has for us, that God wants us to absorb. So, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, this is the Amplified Bible version. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it and indulge it will eat its fruits and bear the consequences of their words. Right? We can bring life or death to ourselves and others through the power of our tongue. And if we love it and indulge in positive, high vibrational words, life-giving words, regenerative words, we will eat the fruits of that. Like this is literally manifestation at its finest. This is it. It's set right there in front of us. You manifest either negative consequences with your words, or you manifest beautiful fruits that will continue to grow and prosper and all of that for eternity if you want it to. It all comes from the power of your tongue. And I can admit that my tongue has been very, very striking, and not in a positive way, many times. Because, and maybe you can relate, when I would feel attacked by people, when I would feel disrespected by people, when I would feel like people would ignore me, not see me, not hear me, not want me, not all of the things, it would just create this trigger in me, and my words were my weapon. You know, some people use other things as weapons. My words were typically my weapon. And I would just go straight for the jugular. I wouldn't even stop. And I would say it in a seemingly refined way, because I wasn't up here yelling and cussing and going crazy all the time. But even though my demeanor was calm, and not always, I'm not saying I was always calm either, but the majority of the time I would have this very just like spiteful way of expressing myself, because I was hurt, because I felt betrayed, I felt disrespected, I felt trampled over, I felt just neglected, abandoned. And so I saw the consequences of my words. I see how words affected the people that I spoke to in negative ways. And even some of those negative ways still show up today. And I don't claim that I have the power to change somebody's whole life based off of my words. But at the same time, when we do that, we are risking affecting the trajectory of someone's life based on our words or our non-words, because that's another thing too. I've run into plenty of people that I know have a lot to say, but say nothing. And there's one thing I respect when you go silent because you don't want to say something strikingly painful to somebody. But then there are individuals, and you may relate to this. I was never this one. I always expressed myself. But I know on the flip side, there are the individuals who hold back words for what seems like an eternity, won't say anything, won't express forgiveness, won't express apology or remorse, won't express reconciliation, won't express love. Even though they're holding it in, they're suppressing it, they feel it, but they refuse it and they withhold the words. That is just as detrimental and deadly and degenerative as carelessly and frivolously spewing out negative words. So let's be so clear, because we're going to clear up any obstruction around what is and is not aligned with this word here, that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Because the power of the tongue, if you use your power of your tongue and hold back life-giving words that you know could bless the next person, but you're holding them back because of a grudge or because of anger, that is just as deadly and detrimental as spewing out words like I just said. I just repeated myself, but you get what I'm saying. So I've been on the receiving end of the silence, of the withholding. And that stings, and it stings deep. And people use it as punishment. People use it as manipulation. People use it as a tactic for you to get triggered and want to chase them. Like, who knows why people do it? And many people just do it because they're not even allowing themselves to access their emotions in a way that will be healing for them, in a way that allows them to express themselves. There's so many reasons, but all this to say, coming back to how important it is to refine and master the way that we express ourselves. So I want to show you a little clip of my latest trip to Canada, to Toronto. So I just recently came back from Toronto, hence my stretch of not creating videos, y'all, because let me tell you, this has been a time of serious recalibration, serious transformation and ascension for me. And it's been really interesting, like living the life that I'm manifesting actively with God, and it's actually showing up. The fruits are showing, the harvest is here. It's actually in my face. The magic is flowing. And it's like we do all this work to create this flow, but then at the same time, I've just had to find a balance of living in the life that I'm manifesting and it's showing up, and me enjoying it and indulging in it and just loving it just without having to do anything. And at the same time coming back and formulating videos, and lessons and insights to share with you so that you can hop on this wave with me. So thank you, and thank you for forgiving me for having this 10, 11 day stretch of not making videos, because I typically want to at least make one video a week, at least. I started off making daily videos. I don't feel like daily is necessary anymore, but I definitely don't want to leave you hanging for almost 2 weeks, because I know you all are still actively on this journey and you want as much insight as possible. And I'm here to serve in that way. I really am. But it's been so amazing. Okay. So I recently went to Toronto. I know you saw the promos, maybe you didn't, but I promoted this event that I was co-facilitating with someone. And her name is Bay for Life. Her name is Shaylin. She is owner of Bay for Life, and she has a beautiful coaching practice that she's building. And I really wanted to support and show up and just be a part of this experience with her. And I had other reasons I wanted to go to Toronto too, so it was just perfect. It was a perfect coming together. It was so aligned. It was a beautiful, intimate space that she got. This venue was absolutely beautiful. We had a whole view of Toronto. It was so intimate, super cozy, little fireplace going on. It was all the feels. And we facilitated a wonderful workshop where I did 2 guided activations and she did a guided arts activation. And it was all about tapping into your authenticity, releasing things that just no longer need to be there anymore. We had this little bird that was started to stalk us and want to be a part of it. It was very magical and very powerful. I could feel it in the room. I could feel the spirit moving in the room. And we definitely recorded it, and we are going to be packaging it as a workshop that you can purchase. So look out for that if you're interested, because it was just really powerful. So we did that, and I'm giving you a recap of my trip to Toronto because this is what the flow feels like, especially as I'm continuing to refine the way that I even allow words to come in my mind, refining and mastering the way that I allow words to come out of my mouth. The universe shows up, it rearranges to align with this refinement and this mastery. And so we're shifting now from a place of having to affirm and having to intend and having to write it down and to script and to say it and to intend for everything. And it's just the embodiment of this. It's the embodiment of all of these intentions you have. You are embodying it in a way where you don't have to affirm as much. You don't have to write it down. You don't have to think about what you're manifesting. You're just in it. And I know that the language that we speak and the language that we allow to come in our minds makes such a big difference. This is one of the biggest ways we can begin to embody. So my coach happened to be in Toronto, so I got to meet her for the first time. I'm gonna show you a clip of that too, because that was so magical. I mean, talk about the feeling of levitating and this very euphoric feeling when you get to meet the person that has been guiding you kind of cosmically, right? Over time, it's wow. We went to the 7-course dinner. All of the options on the 7-course dinner were off of the menu. So we got this exclusive menu. The food was absolutely phenomenal. The drinks were great. Again, everyone was just gravitating to us, happy, joyous. And she even said Toronto isn't necessarily the most high vibrational, happy city. But when you're in your flow, right, when you're embodying this experience, people just act different around you. And that's the treatment we got. I mean, we got serious royal treatment in there. So that was amazing. And then this happened again, the flow of magic. It just never stops when you're in this flow. I happened to run into the father of a girl that I grew up with. So I haven't seen this girl in 20 years. I grew up with her in Philly. I knew her father. I ran into her father when I went to Italy for the family wedding. I don't even think I showed you guys Italy. Anyway, long story short, while I was in Italy, I told him that I was going to be in Toronto for this weekend. And he was like, oh my gosh, my daughter's going to be performing opera there this same weekend. You should go see her. So I went to go see her, again, in the flow of magic, in the flow of just miracles and this electricity. And I got to see her perform opera for the first time, and it was a Black opera, and the fusion of the African drumming and the classical opera and the European and African fusion and merging of cultures. And oh my goodness, and of course they were talking about spirituality. Of course, the whole story of the opera was all about finding yourself in God, getting grounded in truth, right? It was just so perfect. And again, I paid for a seat that was lower, but I was like 10 minutes late. So they gave me a balcony seat, which was much better, which was much more expensive. So I ended up getting a better seat for no charge, experiencing the beauty of that. Again, everything was amazing, even my Airbnb. So I don't know about you, but I've never used a shared Airbnb before. I was nervous. Even though, we're mastering our thoughts and we know everything is safe and everything is flowing, when the newness comes, you are still a little skeptical because it's new, it's uncharted territory. So I never did a shared Airbnb where other people were there. But the woman that was the hostess and the owner of this home just made me feel so safe. She actually cooked and gave me food, and it was the exact meal that I had in my mind. I was gonna walk out and go to lunch, and I wanted salmon and red peppers and asparagus and rice. I had these things on my menu in my mind, and I was gonna find a restaurant that could give me that, because these items I knew were going to help soothe my system. I was gonna digest them properly. I'm really intuitively eating now. And so she cooked that exact same thing and grilled the salmon, everything. You guys, I could go on and on and on, and it's hard to really explain what I'm talking about here, but I know that this flow is not by coincidence. Because in the past, I've gone on trips and things don't work out and cars break down. And I took a road trip, by the way. And, I might get an attitude or things might not work out but the circumstances on this trip and trips all this year, honestly, all of my trips this year have all been the same. They flow, it's magical. People are so gracious, so kind. I see synchronicities everywhere. And really what I feel is God saying, you're safe here, you're safe there, you're safe everywhere. I got you. We're in this manifestation flow together. And I want you to feel this. If you're not feeling it yet, I want you to feel this, because your life can be this way. It's so possible. Heaven on earth is real. No matter what the vibration of the city or the place or the environment is, when you get there, things shift. The universe rearranges on your behalf, because you are in the embodiment of this vibration where the people just have to shift in your presence. It's a real thing. The demons have to scurry in your presence, or they have to bow down in your presence, because there's too much light radiating from you. There's too much love radiating from you for demons to even try to toy and play with you. This is a real thing. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how you can start refining your language and really perfecting and mastering your tongue. Because again, this is a whole big part of your process when it comes to shifting into your heaven on earth, where things are just manifesting effortlessly. There's no more affirmations needed. So the first thing I want you to recognize is that when we are affirming, again, affirmations help. Trust me, I will always believe that. But many times, people use the affirmations to mask over what is here that needs to go, right? So this is maybe negativity, negative core belief system, fears, doubts, negative self-concept, and this hard, dense ball in your mind, right? And then you have these light-filled affirmations that you're using. And what I've experienced, and this is me tapping into the energetics of how this works, it's the affirmations are light and good and love-filled, and sometimes they just kind of create like a sheet over this. And over time, they do penetrate it. They do, they squeeze it, and they squeeze it to it become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I believe that's the long route. I believe there can be a shortcut for this, and not bypassing any necessary part of the process, but there's just a shorter way to do this, an easier way to penetrate this with light, love, so that it eradicates. And now you have an entire clean slate, an entire new way of thinking, of believing, of assuming, of interpreting. And these energies of inside these thought forms then turn into words. And this is what comes out of your tongue. So how can you easily refine and perfect and master the power of your tongue? The first thing is to, instead of forcing all of these affirmations hundreds of times a day, writing them down over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, try this. Ask what's there now. Ask what's there now. Ask yourself, what am I trying to combat right now? What thought am I trying to combat? So you're already insightful, you're already self-aware. You know that you may have a core belief that people don't love you, right? People just don't love you, or people reject you, or people abandon you, or you're not chosen. That may be a core belief system, which is a combination of thought forms, and these thought forms hold energy. So you see this hard ball, you questioning what is there, it kind of allows it to open up again. So now we're actually looking inside of the ball. What is it? I'm not worthy. Okay, boom, I see that for what it is. I'm not needed, I'm abandoned, people don't love me. So you see how you're kind of like opening up this hard, dense ball that was so hard, where you're trying to force affirmations to fight through it. Instead of forcing the new affirmation, first ask yourself, what is there? And be aware and kind of confess to yourself, acknowledge to yourself, I've let this linger in my mind for way too long. And that's fine. We're not blaming, we're not judging, we're not condemning. We are identifying and confessing. And I'm going to be recording a video about confessions and another video about the process of self-deliverance. So this is all working up to those videos. Confession is big, all right? Confession is big, and taking acknowledgement of what is there is big. So the first thing is acknowledge what's there. So say you pull out, I'm not priority, boom, that's one. In this big ball of mess, of BS, of deceptions, of demonics, one of them is, I'm not, what did I say? I'm not chosen? I think I said I'm chosen, okay? So that's one. So the next step, we first acknowledge what is there. Then question, what are the energies behind this thought, behind this core belief system, behind this thought habit? Because it's become a habit in your mind and it turned into a core belief. And now it's manifesting things subconsciously. And now you're trying to affirm it away. But first ask, what is the energy of this thing? I'm not chosen. Okay, let's really think about what is there. And I know you've done this, but again, we're refining. So I hope you catch the subtle differences in what I'm saying compared to maybe what you've been doing, so you can see how this takes you to mastery level. So this sounds like a repeat, but it's not. This is just diving in a way maybe that you haven't before, maybe in a deeper way. So asking, what are the energies that I feel? What are the spirits that I feel behind this one statement that I'm not chosen, I'm not priority? Okay. Is it the Spirit of God? No, obviously. And if you question, well, what is the Spirit of God? What does the Spirit of God entail? That's where you can read the Bible. That's where you can really start to learn, how does God think? What are God's promises to you? Because this does not align with how God thinks, and it does not align with God's promises. And at the same time, we do have to have wisdom around what are the promises given to us. I could list some here today, but on my journey, I've had to delve in and dig deep and read and learn and educate myself on what are the promises. That's where the conviction comes from in me. That's where my faith comes in, because I know these promises were given to me and I'm seeing proof of the promises around me as I follow these commandments, as I align with this guide that's right in front of my face. So the Bible can be a very great resource for you to understand what are the promises of God. How does God think about you? How does God think about others? How does God think about the world? Right? What is God's truth? And so, is this statement godly? No. Is this statement light-filled? No. That's the same question as, is it godly? The way I see God is the highest, most potent light frequency vibration ever existing ever, right? So in that space, with that light penetrating in such a way that is so, we can't even assume how bright and how strong and powerful God's light is. But does it align with the light? If it's a no, then it's got to go. And it's like, through this process, when you start questioning the energy and the spirit behind the thought, it's like, obviously, you know it's not of God, but when you ask yourself it in such a plain way, it's like, oh, duh, of course it's not from God. That sounds horrible. And it's like this shift in you. It's not even like the awareness of it and the questioning of it is the work. Because once you question it and once you come up with the answer, which is no, it's not of God. Of course, it's not of the light. Of course, it's not of love. Something biologically, it just kind of like eliminates it because it's like, why is this here? Why is this here? Right? Versus asking the question, do I have evidence of this thing? Right? So we could assess this from various lenses, but I'm encouraging you to assess it from one lens and one lens only. Is it godly? Is it light-filled? Is it love-filled? If it's a no, it's gotta go. And your biology will literally spit it out. And sometimes it will feel immediate and sometimes it will feel gradual, but it will be a lot easier for your affirmations now to be absorbed by your subconscious. Your affirmations will now penetrate in a way that's a lot easier because this hard rock is now penetrable, right? Before it was impenetrable. You couldn't penetrate, it was too dense and too hard because you weren't questioning and breaking it up and really assessing each part of this density. You were just letting it be and throwing affirmations over it. You see the difference? We break it apart, we question each one, and then they just dissolve because lies and deception dissolve, especially in the presence of light. So when you are assessing it from that vantage point, is it light-filled? If it's a no, it's gonna leave. It's going to go eventually. It really will. I promise you this. Now, here's something that you don't wanna do. Asking it from the vantage point of, well, do I have evidence of that I'm not chosen? Yeah, I have evidence because so-and-so left me and my father abandoned me and my boyfriend left me and the father of my kids, you can come up with all types of evidence, right? So that's why we don't assess these thoughts and core beliefs and assumptions based on something that's not rooted in truth. It has to be rooted in truth and in God. Because your physical circumstances that serve as evidence to support and confirm this core belief, those are also based in deception. Those are also based in illusions, right? The 3D circumstances that were manifested from this core belief are just, they're still aligned with the deception. They're not aligned with the light. That's why we don't use evidence to back up if this thing is real or not. We use God to back it up, okay? I know this is making sense in some way. I'm trying to find a way to formulate this. I didn't really write down. I'm just kind of flowing. What else did I say? Yeah, feel into the energetics of the words. What energy do you feel? If it's not all God, it's a full stop and it's a no. Yes, so you may come across a thought in your mind that's like halfway good and loving and halfway not loving. Right? You can kind of feel the combination of both. It's a little light, it's a little dark. And this is the thing, and this is the standard that I encourage you to set because this is where the refinement and the serious upgrade comes in with how your life unfolds and how your manifestations unfold. If you allow room for any gray area, understand that you're allowing room for darkness, you're allowing room for deception and distortion and illusion, and it's not all of God. So when you assess it and say, is this thought all of God? If it's halfway no, if it's 1% no, it's a full stop no. It has to be all yes, all light, all love, or nothing at all, and all truth. And let me get into that in a couple minutes. It has to be all light, love, God, and truth, or nothing at all. There's no in between. Because think about it, it's either white or black. And again, I'm not trying to be politically correct here, okay? This has nothing to do with skin color. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just using this as, it's either black or white, right? That whole thing. White is filled with light. There's no shadows. There's no corners of darkness. There's no gray area, nothing. And then there's all black. There's a spectrum of light, right? So now, just one step from the spectrum of all light, all bright, there's a little bit of gray that is added to it, right? That means the darkness has kind of came in, seeped in just a little bit. Even if it's like 0.00001%, it still has some of the darkness that's now seeped in and created a little bit of a gray shade. And if you want to be in the full refinement mastery level, that little 0.00001% of darkness is a full no. It's got to go. It's not allowed in my vessel. It's not allowed in my mind. It's not allowed in my thoughts. And it's not allowed to be spewed out through my tongue. So now let's take it to the step where we're talking about tongue and what comes out of our words and our language and our linguistics and what our tongue is speaking. Because if we can get down to the root of what's happening in our mind and our thoughts, that's going to affect what we think. That's going to affect what we say out of our mouths, right? That's why I'm taking it back to the root, so that you can, again, this is the easy shortcut way. You don't have to be sitting here trying to assess every single word that comes out of my mouth has to align with da 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 da. It's like if you can go to the root, that's automatically going to shift the way that you speak, period. So then you don't really have to like be so hard on yourself as far as what comes out of your mouth, because you got it down to the root of tuda. You know what I mean? Yes, okay, getting back to the whole. If the words that you're thinking, the words that you're speaking out of your mouth, the things you're assuming are not all aligned with love, light, God, and truth, then they gotta go. So what do these mean? Because love, light has turned real toxic out here, right? Just look at TikTok, look at YouTube, look at all of the love and light, love and light, love and light, but there's this lower energy of darkness and nastiness and deception. So I'm not sitting up here talking about that fake positivity. Your words and your thoughts don't always have to align with happy, joy, love, rainbows, right? It doesn't have to always be yay. Also truth, also aligning with truth. So that's the layer that gives it power in God, right? Because just love and light without truth does not give your words godly power. So when you are speaking and thinking and assuming with words that are aligned with God's truth, love, light, that's where the power of manifestation comes through. That's where God is now moving through your vessel and manifesting things in the universe like that. That's when the embodiment of this divine truth happens and your universe rearranges without you even having to affirm it or say anything. That's where that comes in. And what is God's truth? Again, I could go on and on and on about God's truth all day, but I want you to discover it, and I invite you to discover it through the Bible, because that's where it is. Because God is not always rainbows and butterflies. Okay, God has high standards. And that high standards that align with divine order and divine truth. So if we step out of the standard, but yet we're still talking love and light, it's not aligned with truth, right? So then the power is immediately dissolved, because now you're moving in a way that's completely not aligned with divine truth. Now you're in deception, but you got a smile on your face. That doesn't work either. A great place to start is the 10 Commandments. That will help you lean into and align with full divine truth, right? Not murdering, not lying, not coveting, not dishonoring your parents, not engaging in adulterous behavior, not idolizing false idols and false gods that are not the one supreme God, right? Like there are various standards that are aligned with God's truth that you're invited to live in, and not invited to be perfect in, okay? But invited to live in and be intentional about living in. And even when you misstep, you get back on path. And when you go left and then you come back, and God will help you detour. Because again, when you're in this space of your heart is truly wanting to live in this divine truth, it's like if you misstep or make a mistake in some way, unknowingly, you are naturally redirected in a way that is so gentle, that is so loving, that is so gracious. It's not going to like feel harmful to you. An example of being in love and light and at the same time being out of divine truth is you are wanting to market your business because you want followers, you want money, you want status, you want the stuff, right? And so every bit of your content is all love, is all light, is so high vibrational, is so connected with what you feel like is God. But then behind the scenes, you're using manipulative tactics that put you into the category of lying to manipulate, to get followers, right? So this could be like buying followers, or, just like little things. And it may not feel like a whole huge problem or huge deception, but we're here to refine and master. Okay. So we're here to nitpick at all of the little things that aren't aligned with truth. So then you think about the 10 commandments, and one of the commandments is to not lie, which we all have lied, right? But again, if you're on the path of trying to be in this flow with God so that your manifestation experience can be so freaking perfect and fluid and effortless and magical, then you are going to refine the way that you even market your business, and you're going to acknowledge. And so, okay, yeah, so let's take it back. So let's look at the core belief that sits behind the action of needing to buy followers or manipulate algorithms and lie, pretty much, because that manipulation and buying fake followers is in the category of lying. And so taking it back to the assumption that would lead one to do something like that is, I can't get followers on my own. People aren't going to think my content is powerful enough to like it and share it and support it. People don't see me, right? Because if you're buying likes to be seen, and you're buying in a manipulative way to be seen, there has to be a core belief there that you're not seen. There has to be some sort of assumption that me naturally and organically building my business isn't going to be easy for me, right? So maybe there's this core belief that things aren't easy for me like they are for other people. Like, we can go on and on and on and on about breaking down what is behind the action of needing to manipulate and lie to build brand exposure. So now let's feel into the energy behind the statement that I'm not seen, that people won't see me in my authenticity, that people won't like my business. Feel into the energy of that. Does it feel godly? Does it feel aligned with divine truth? Does it feel aligned with love and light? No, it's gotta go. So do you see how we kind of reverse engineered back? We started with the action that wasn't fully aligned with divine truth, bringing it back to, it all came from a deception. And if you're new here, I see deceptions as demons. They're spirits that are trying to come in and influence us to believe a lie, to degenerate our lives, to take away our abundance, to take away our royal inheritance, our divinely royal inheritance that we have access to. So once you recognize, you know what, that's a whole lie. It's a whole lie. And furthermore, am I doing this? So then the question goes even deeper. What am I even doing this business for? Right? Am I doing it for the follows? Am I doing it for the money? Or am I doing it to be living in my purpose? Right? So many of us, and I've definitely been in the space where I'm worried about follows and stuff, but I have to ask myself this question. Okay, Alicia, let's bring it back. Why are you doing this? And if you're doing this to spread God's word, God's love, God's light, it doesn't matter the followers. It doesn't matter what comes through. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that I'm living in my purpose. Now that lightened up my heart, even identifying the divine truth of the matter. And so coming back to the divine truth, guess how so that whole example I just used, that is an example of how you can reverse engineer back to the initial intention, the distortion that's throwing you out of divine truth and divine order and love and light and godliness and all of that. And it will naturally shift your behavior. It will naturally shift your thoughts. It will naturally shift your words. It just will. So it's like, instead of trying to force a change of what comes through your tongue, a change of what comes into your mind, a change of what behaviors you engage in, it's like that's a lot more work than coming back to the root and just creating that little micro shift. And the micro shift happened because we assessed the energies behind the assumption, behind the thoughts before they even came out of our mouths. So imagine that person building that brand, asking that question to herself, to himself, completely shifting back into divine purpose, completely shifting back into divine truth. I'm sorry if you hear my son's TV, they're home, sorry. And then now micro shifting into a place where now, if this person creates content, if this person creates videos, imagine the power of the tongue now, because now the consciousness is aligned in God's truth, in divine order. So now what comes through the tongue is going to be aligned with that too. So you see that? Yes. Okay, so this video went a whole other direction than I thought it would. I really thought I was specifically going to be talking about what comes through our mouths, but we actually went down the journey of shifting what's happening in here energetically, so that what spews out of your mouth is just aligned with that shift, and that's it. So last thing I want to say is, if you do feel yourself saying things that aren't aligned with your truth, so last thing I want to say to wrap this video up is, if you do find yourself saying things out of your mouth out of habit, because that's a real thing. We can habitually say things that are not aligned with what we know is going to give us that beautiful experience with our universe and a manifestation. Then also checking that, assessing yourself, assessing linguistically, how do you express yourself? And even on a lighter note, it's like jokes you make about yourself, jokes you make about others, gossip about others. It can happen so lightly. It's so embedded in our society. Gossip is embedded. You know, it feels like every other post I see is talking about some celebrity or somebody doing something I don't care about. That's gossip, right? I don't care to hear about that. How is this helping my life? And so even your attention going to that gossip, that celebrity gossip, that reality TV show gossip, which again is very appealing, but are you allowing it to dictate how you speak? Because when you think about all reality TV shows, well, most of them, I'm thinking Real Housewives specifically, all you hear is the spewing of degenerative, deadly words coming from these women's mouths. And they're just cackling back and forth. And they're spewing out degeneration, spewing out degeneration, spewing out degeneration. And they're tearing each other down. And so imagine, not only what is that doing to their physical vessel, what is that doing to the person's vessel that they're spewing that out to? What is that doing to the universe? And then us as watching this as entertainment, what is this doing to the viewer? And how is that dictating how the viewer speaks? Right? Look at the ripple effect of this degenerative behavior. And it all stems from being misaligned with divine truth. When you continue to align with what is true, what is real, what is love and light, you won't even want to watch Real Housewives anymore, or these other reality TV shows that have such negative, low vibrational stuff in it. Like, I used to be obsessed with Real Housewives. I used to be obsessed. And now I can't tell you how many years I haven't watched it, because it literally sounds like, this is so disrespectful. I'm not going to say that. But it just sounds, I'm not going to say that. See, me engaging in the realm of Real Housewives had me about to say something negative about these people, right? It catches you like that. It's like a wave. And I literally had to stop myself, because I don't want to contribute to that. But it just sounds very unpleasant to my ears. That's what I will say. It feels unpleasant because it is unpleasant, because it's not regenerative. It's not building lives. It's not building empowerment. So all that to say, how are ways you can refine and master your tongue today? Going to Toronto, I went to church as well. I meant to say this earlier. And the pastor talked about allowing every single word that comes out of your mouth being drenched in truth and in goodness and in prosperity and in life, right? So he said, not only are you like just being in that, but you're drenched in it. You're drenched in it, which means you're dripping with this beautiful truth that's coming through your words. Imagine how that is rippling into your universe. Imagine how that's manifesting. Imagine how that's healing. And the last question I have for you is, are you withholding good words to people? Because you are right now not fully aligned with truth, right? Because truth is we forgive. Truth is we don't hold grudges, because that's holding and judging and condemning somebody, which we ultimately don't have the full power to do. Only God can do that. We can't judge the next person. We just can't, because we don't want to be judged like that. And God definitely does not judge us like that. And so sometimes judgment comes down on us. But the way that we judge others is like so drastically different than the way God judges us. We get a lot of grace, okay? So are you withholding words of encouragement, words of healing, words of reconciliation, because you're being bound to unforgiveness? Or you're being bound to condemning somebody or judging somebody because they made a mistake? This is an invitation to share those words, to stop withholding, because it's only hurting you. It's only stopping the flow of love and abundance moving through your vessel. You are meant to be a fluid vessel. You are not meant to be a stagnant vessel, and you are definitely not meant to suppress energy that's supposed to actually be flowing through you. And that's good energy and negative energy. We're not meant to hold it. We're meant to pour it out and be that vessel, just like water, just going through a pipe and just constantly moving and flowing freely. So what are ways you can freely share your goodness, freely share divine truth, freely share love and light to people today? Not in a toxic way, not in a fake way, but in a way that really is coming from your heart space, where you felt that micro shift during this video. And you're like, wow, I actually have been withholding love. I actually have been spewing out negativity to people who have hurt me and harmed me. And the last note is, I'm not sitting up here telling you to forgive and then let that person in and be all huggy, lovey-dovey with them. I'm not saying that at all. Boundaries are real. Boundaries are real, okay? But I'm also not saying to hold the grudge and to never forgive, or to withhold something positive that you were thinking but you would never let be uttered out of your mouth because of your ego. We're also not going to do that. So there's a balance here, okay? We can spread the love, but not everybody has to be within close proximity of you. I have a very, very, very clear, strict, rigid way of allowing people in and out of my life. And so my circle of friends is very small. My intimate circle gets smaller and smaller by the day because of this. And at the same time, I forgive those who have harmed me. It's taken me a long time, but we are here now, because I know that me withholding that and withholding that goodness is only harming me. And if it's harming me and then other people are me pushed out, it's harming them. And then, right? It's just, we don't need them problems. Okay, I hope this video helped you today. We are almost at an hour. I can't believe it, but I love you. And I guess I'm just making up for all these days that I wasn't here. And I'm about to record a couple other videos. So I'll see you soon. Bye.